Alright, so this is going to be a review of the Delux M800 Ultra. This should be a pretty straightforward, review. So yeah, let's get into it. This is a $70, should be around $70, to get this to your house to buy. And it is 4K hertz, but you do have to buy the dongle separately. I do not have the dongle, but I'll be able to tell you straight away that you should have no problems with the dongle at all. It's the same stuff as this and like the Dragonfly and stuff. It's all using the same kind of stuff. So I don't think you'll have a problem with it. But yeah, so let's get into what's in the box and the specs and stuff like that. And before I start that, like and sub, use my codes in the description, and yeah. Deluxe did send this out to me because I'm a struggling college kid, so you know. But that doesn't affect my review in any way. Getting into the box, obviously you have the mouse here, and down here you have this little accessories box. They do come with grips, but I do not have them in here because I use them, and I didn't want to use them anymore, and yeah, anyway. They were okay. They're like a C tier grip. It's not gonna make or break the review. You just buy aftermarket grips, honestly. So what you'll get in here is you'll get your accessory bag. The bag is actually pretty nice, and you obviously get your dongle. This is the 1K dongle. It does say Deluxe on it on the top here, and you get some extra feet. And of course the cable. I'm not using the cable. I'm using a Lamzu one because it has this little point at it where it tilts up so it doesn't drag on the table. And yeah, that's about it. Very standard unboxing experience. And now let's get into the mouse itself. Oh, the mouse itself is 49 grams. And the back does say everything on it. It's 40, as you can see right here, it's 49 grams, hyperspeed wireless compatible, and it does use a Nordic MCU. You can get this in a 300 milliamp hour battery or a 600. This is the 300. It's about 50 hours, you get 49 grams of weight. The 600 milliamp is 55 grams, and you get about 120 hours on 1K hertz. So yeah, you also have black or white on this. Obviously I do have the white, and there is no RGB besides the the light indicator here. This is not RGB. This is just yeah. So the main switches are Huano blue shell pink dots. I don't know what buttons are these side buttons, but I'll get into that. In the scroll wheel, no idea either, but I'll get into that. So yeah, and 3395 sensor, of course, and it does have a higher sensor position, which is nice for fingertip users. So getting into, well, actually we'll get into a sound test first. So right and left click, side buttons, scroll wheel. Alright, so obviously everybody knows that this is supposed to be a Razer Viper Mini kind of clone kind of thing, and we'll get into that actually after. I just want to address that I do know that, I'm aware of that, and I will get into that, but let's just start with the clicks first. The main switches do have a little bit of wobble, and you can see that here, but you don't feel that at all in game. On my right one I do a little bit, but my left one is great. And the clicks do have a little bit of pre-travel and a little bit of post-travel, but Huano blue shell pink dots are supposed to. My right click is definitely mushier than my left click, but it's really not that big of a deal. They're not the best implementation of Huano blue shell pink dots. They're not as good as the Lamzu ones, definitely not. But they're definitely better than something like an optical or KL 8.0 or something like that. These are definitely, I would say, A tier, B tier stock clicks. The side buttons, the side buttons are not bad if you're just pressing them very lightly. They definitely do have some pre-travel on them, but the post-travel is just insane, and there's tons of wobble on them. I can easily press this one into the shell and break it on the back. And they're also, the back one is in the shell kinda, but they're D tier side buttons. I'd say they're not great. And the scroll wheel to me feels just like a Viper Mini scroll wheel in my opinion. It has the look of a V2 Pro scroll wheel, and there are little lines on the scroll wheel as well. You can see the lines, I believe. But yeah, the scroll wheel is, in my opinion, pretty good. It is tactile. You can definitely feel the steps. The click is, I would say it's like an average click. It's not super light. It's actually on the heavier side, but you can spam it. It's not like a bad scroll wheel or in any means. Now, getting on to what I was going to talk about with Razer, and then I'm going to talk about the shape and everything. So this must come out of like the same factory, because it even has the same, I don't know if you remember, but the Razer mice have like this polished look right here on the clicks. This has this too, and it even has right on the light indicator on Razer mice, it's kind of like a weird glossy texture. It has that too, and it has the look, the actual click design look of Razer mice. And yeah, it's kind of weird that it's shaped and everything so similarly. Like the gloss on the clicks is to a T, just like Razer's, which is so weird. And even like the hyperspeed wireless, that's like a Razer thing. So I don't really know. But I've never used a Delux product before. But what I'll tell you is this one is built like a tank. There's no flexing on this. There is no creaking. There's no rattling on this thing. This thing is a tank. Like, this is actually one of my best built mice, I'd say, taking away the side buttons. The side buttons are not built well, but just structurally, this is really, really, really good. But shape-wise, it's not a Viper Mini completely, but it is kind of like a middle way. So it's about 124 millimeters long, 64 millimeters at its widest point, and 38 millimeters at its tallest. So think like Viper Mini and Razer Viper, like put into one, like a middle Viper Mini kind of thing, like a Final Mouse medium version of the Viper Mini. That's what this kind of is. And it feels great. It feels great for claw, actually, and it feels great for fingertip. You're not palming this thing, obviously, but this is a great shape, honestly. Like, if you found the Viper Mini a little bit too small for claw, you'll really like this. And if you get the 4K dongle with it, it'll be fine. This is 1K performs fine. There's no sensor issues in my opinion. I did update the firmware, which I know a lot of reviewers don't do. I couldn't find a software for it, but there is a polling rate button here, a DPI button here, and this is the annoying thing. So there's 3 modes. There's 2.4 wired and then Bluetooth. Every single time you go to wireless, you have to switch this to wireless mode, or every time you go to wired, you have to switch it to wired mode. So if I plug my mouse in, it will not work until I flip the switch to wired mode. And if I want to go wireless, it will not work until I switch here. But it is standard DPIs, 400, 800, 1600, 3200, and there might even be like a 50 something 200. There's like one weird one in there, I know. But yeah, all your onboard DPIs will be fine. The only thing is, I do believe that the debounce on this is a little bit high. I want to say it's like 8 milliseconds. It does not feel like it's super, super low. But I imagine they'll have software coming out for this because they have it on all the other mice. So I don't know why they wouldn't. But that's not too big of an issue because honestly, most people probably use their mice on stock debounce anyway. And you won't notice it unless you're playing like Fortnite and like really editing and stuff. 8 milliseconds isn't that high. Other mice sometimes have it on stock 16, 24, like, yeah. So all in all, I'll move on to the coating. Coating is matte. It's not a great coating. It's kind of chalky, and if you have dry hands, you won't like this, I don't think, at all. It's going to slip and slide out of your hands. So it's just a standard like Chinese matte coating. If you felt something like the Dragonfly, the M3, any of these Chinese mice, they all have the same coating. So it's just a standard matte coating. Yeah. Nothing really to talk about there. Now, the feet is a different story. The feet suck. Well, they don't suck. They're just slow and muddy. But what's weird about them is the reason they're like that, I think, is because they're indented in the middle here, and then they're raised at the top, and they're not really that thick. I mean, they're decent, but yeah, not great feet. I would definitely replace them 100%. I don't know if the ones in the box are better. I don't think so. They look like the exact same thing, so I would definitely just replace them. But I mean, I would say that this is one of the better Chinese mice I've come around and the most well put together. Like with the Dragonfly, I still do think this is my overall like favorite if I had to pick one, just because of the software and all of that stuff. But there are some problems with it. Like the scroll wheel does suck. This one, the only thing that's shaky on them is the side buttons, and they're still usable. Like the Dragonfly scroll wheel is just really, really, really bad. I had to go in and lube it, and even then it still feels like a $10 scroll wheel. But the rest of that mouse is fine. And this probably does come from the same factory as the Dragonfly, honestly, because because they all have the same chrome looking bottom logo. So yeah, but I'm kind of just like rambling on. That's gonna be the end of this video. Great mouse if you're looking for something like a little bit of a bigger Viper Mini, and you want it 4K. I mean, I don't see why not. I think the performance is going to be fine. The sensor feels fine. I don't think there's going to be any latency issues with it unless they don't come out with a software and you can't fix the demount. So that's the end of this video. I would pick this up. It's honestly a pretty good mouse if you like the shape. So that's the end of this video. Peace.